Ladies and gentlemen, very good evening and a warm welcome to the Red and Blue Review. It's nice to be back after this enforced break. So, the new normal will affect everybody and it will also affect us and has touched us. Between now and the end of this particularly weird part of the season, you're going to see some changes to some of the things that we are doing. Starting with our lineup, as you can see on the screen. Between now and the end of the season, we will be introducing to you lots of new co-presenters. They will be sitting in for our Gel Holyoke, who during the summer months does plenty of other things away from the show and football. Don't worry, he will be back and he's going to be popping on between now and the end of the season. He wants to come and say hello to you all, but he's got lots of other things going on in his world. So for that reason, we have introduced a whole new army of co-presenters. So with this in mind, the first of these faces is somebody you'll all be familiar with, is our lovely Grant Saunders. Good evening, Grant. How you doing, mate?
I thought you were talking about Ian then, not me.
No, just you. You're all right, mate. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, yourselves.
Yeah, all good, mate. Thank you. And Grant is not only joining our presenting team, okay, because he is, but he's also going to be a part of our major decision-making group behind the scenes. So welcome aboard, mate. It's great to have you with us, okay? Also joining me this evening, as per normal, is the other bloke. Okay, I can't remember what his name is. But good evening, sir. I hope you're well. Yeah.
He must be talking about me because he didn't use the word lovely, Grant.
Yeah, that's very, very good.
How are we all? Okay?
Do you know what? I'm fine. I hope you are too, Grant. You're looking well, mate. I have to say, lockdown has suited you, Grant, because you look red-faced, you look fit, you look healthy. Tell everybody about all this walking that you've been doing.
I've absolutely loved lockdown. I found out about 5 weeks ago that I was actually shielded. I shouldn't have actually gone out of the house at all. That was quite embarrassing. But I've actually discovered that where I've moved to is a wonderful place. I'm surrounded by countryside and walks, etc. And I've walked now 1.6 million steps since the start of lockdown. I did 1 million steps in 59 days. And I'm red-faced here because I've been on the golf course this afternoon without any sun cream, bad boy. But no, I'm loving it. I'm fit as a fiddle. Lost about 2 stone, 2.5 stone, something like that. And loving where I'm living. It's great.
Good, fantastic. Well done.
So, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, I've got the fit Grant Saunders on one side. I've got the very fit Ian Lyons, who goes out running every day. What they're trying to do is they're trying to look like me. And I'm sorry, but boys, give it up, okay, because you're not going to get there. It'd be remiss of me before we kick off to not say hello to everybody that's coming up on screen. Andy Ball, Jordan, Ian, I can't know if you can see those people, but just say hello, Grant, if you see anybody that you recognise on there. Summer, I can see you, mate. Great win, great performance. Even Ben Teke played well. Yeah, well, we're going to come on to all of that a little bit later on. So, superb performance. So, coming up tonight's show, we're going to be touching on the Black Lives Matter and the NHS thing that we saw, we've seen all over the last few days. We're going to be chewing the cud over that great performance down at the Vitality Stadium. The remaining fixtures, and there's a reason why I've asked Ian to make sure we have that on the agenda this evening. Obviously going to talk a little bit about Kayla, bless her heart. Colin Squires, good evening, mate. And he says to you, well done, Grant.
I saw that. Thanks, Colin. But I was going to wait for you, Nick, because I'm very polite to stop.
And Mika in Sweden.
Thanks, Colin.
And also, we're going to be touching on the season ticket debacle. But before we get into the show, if you are watching this live, please now, whoever you are, wherever you are in the world, follow this little instruction for me, if you'd be so kind. I would like you to hit the share button. Okay, hit the share button, okay, right now, and create your own watch party to allow us to reach everybody on your wall. Hit the share button, go. As many as you can. I'll be very grateful, or we would be very grateful. Mark Easton, I see you, mate. Good evening, buddy. Happy birthday to your dad for the other day. Okay, and don't forget, you can also find us on Twitter, YouTube at any time. Either watch, listen, or download to any of our other podcasts. Or simply ask Alexa, play the latest Red and Blue Review podcast, or simply go to the Red and Blue redandbluereview.co.uk to our website where you can see all the links. Now, I said, Ian, before I finish off on this, okay, I said to you a few weeks ago, okay, that I'm going to do that one evening Everton are 1-0 up, by the way. Paul
Only
Holden.
kidding.
Oh, don't do that.
It's
Holden.
half time.
It's half time, I was going to say. Right, don't do that unless it's an actual live score, because we can't see the screens from here. So I'd love it if you would tell the truth. Daniel, hello, mate. Nice to see you. Ian, I said to you a few weeks ago that I'm going to do that. Ask your Alexa to do and one night it's going to go off. She's just done it. She said, "I'm sorry, but I can't connect to the internet." she's ran. And the reason is because I've got all this junk going on. So let's have a conversation. Hi,
Hang on, we've got an interloper.
We have got an interloper. Jane, good evening. Another Palace fan in the background now. We are lucky. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a conversation. We are the only podcast. No, we are the only podcast you can watch. Did you ever see that BBC interview where the kids came in the back of the room? Go on, hold it up, Jade. Oh, that's brilliant. Go on, hold it.
Sorry. This is,
no, we want to see it.
This is better than Jill's kitchen.
It is. This is more entertaining than Jill's curtains. You know that.
Oh, she's
shy. She's run off, Jane.
She's shy, bless her.
Okay, so we'll kick off, boys, if you don't mind, with the Black Lives Matter and NHS logos on every Premier League's shirts. I think the message has been extremely well delivered and handed out over the last few games. Do you not think, Ian?
Yeah, no, I think it's something that's. I love it when I answer a question. Yeah, no. It's something that's been well organised, well received. How long they keep it going for, I think, could be a delicate discussion, delicate question. Whether or not they're just going to do it for the first round of fixtures and then move on or not, I don't know. It certainly doesn't detract from everything. I'm far happier that everyone's doing it, even the referees and the linos and everyone else. It's not. In fact, I think maybe Roy is the only person that's not done it, because obviously he'd take a hit, but he can't take a knee at the minute. But he was sitting down when it happened, so right. I was interested to see what was going to happen there. But yeah, no, I think it's been a great thing. It's been well done.
Superb. And I noticed Ian Noble's on there. Ian, you'll be joining the show as well over the next few weeks, won't you, mate? In the chat, please say yes, please. Terence Arnold, free kick, woeful, almost in the same position as Luka last night. We've got a decent chance up there on Wednesday night. I love your optimism, mate. Grant, when they first did the taking the knee on what was the first game? Was it Man City, Sheffield United?
No, it was Aston Villa, Sheffield United.
Aston Villa, Sheffield United, and they all in unison dropped to the knee. It was as though they've actually kept a secret, was it not? I mean, because nobody knew they were going to do that. They knew they were going to have a minute's silence and everything else, but nobody knew about the dropping to the knee scenario. Really well done, do you not think?
Absolutely. I thought, well, first of all, I didn't know what I'd seen. I wasn't looking at it as the whistle went, and it was right that the whistle went and then they dropped to a knee.
Yeah,
so they actually interrupted their game, which I thought was massive. For them to actually interrupt a game, seconds, but it interrupted the game, that was massive. And the fact that every single human being on that pitch did it as well was massive. I've written down the note here, Ian, you said about how long. I think that's really important, because the NHS, we got the clap, went on, I think, a little bit too long. Yeah, we enjoyed it. We had great where we live. We made it very social, etc. But by the 10th week, it had run out. I think the message has been given here. I really do. I think with the very long-winded name on the back of every single player, they're all brothers and sisters. I think that's great as well. I think that should be replaced after the next game itself. The message has been made, it's been given, and everyone's talking about it now. The players are talking about it, the media's talking about it, social media's talking about it. Well, it's a strong bloody message out there now.
Absolutely.
But enough is enough, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's just important the message doesn't die. Because you know what the modern world's like. It's one crisis happens, then it's followed by another crisis, and the other one gets forgotten about. So maybe I'd like to see the drop in the knee maybe either staying and the Black Lives Matter goes, or one, and so just so they're keeping it there, but it's not as in your face.
Yeah.
Because the conversation needs to be had, and it needs to keep being had.
You're right. You're very right about continuity. If you remember the start of the year, it was hashtag be kind.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
So
the death of TV presenter. That was very, very quickly forgotten.
and it's easily done.
Something major happened. It was then be safe, or stay safe. Hashtag. How long is that going to be around? There's other things that are distracting from that now.
I think it's the most important. Yeah, it's the most important two subjects on the planet now, apart from COVID-19. I think the Black Lives Matter movement and and the Every Lives Matter movement as well. I think it is the most important subjects, and I'm really pleased. I think the Premier League has handled it brilliantly. I think Patrick Van Aanholt taking out Katie Hopkins is to be applauded and to be lauded. I think. Have you any idea what I'm talking about, Ian? Have you not been watching Twitter?
He's taken her out. What, for a meal?
No. Literally, in fact, my understanding, I don't know whether... So can somebody out there on Red and Blue Newland confirm this? My understanding is on the back of the PVA exchanges, I think Katie Hopkins has now been kicked off Twitter permanently.
He has.
And thank God. What a piece of poison that is. Michelle, I see you. Nigel Croucher, Andrew Adams, I know you're all there. I'm trying to keep up with all the hellos, okay? I couldn't see you on there. But what a piece of dog shit that Katie Hopkins is. And Patrick Van Aanholt, if there's any chance you actually watching one of these broadcasts, big up to you, mate. I think what you did on Twitter was superb. You made me proud.
And clearly he did an homage to her because he went blonde.
He did.
So, fair play to him. He's giving it all sides.
And listen, on the last point about the Black Lives Matter thing, for my benefit, okay, because I'm getting older and older and older, I need it off the back of the shirts so I can actually recognise the players by their names, okay? Because I can't keep calling everybody Black Lives Matter, and it's one of those things where I need to be able to recognise who's going. Right. Anyway, let's move on.
Grant wanted to say something.
Ian Noble just put up that Katie Hopkins has been banned from Twitter. Correct.
Excellent, and I'm delighted to hear. Well, let's move away from that. That is superb. Right. So, Grant, your overall thoughts before we go into a bit of detail on yesterday's game and your thought process. And Ian, I'm coming to you for the same thing, and I'd like to give my views as well. Just a quick overview, please.
Okay. Well, Nick, I go to every single match, and I normally do a little what I thought, or my opinion piece on my page. However, I think, was it 3.9 million people watched the match?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
I should imagine a hell of a lot of people who are watching this now watch the match. They don't really need me to go into detail.
Yeah.
But I did say on my page before the match that I think Bournemouth, because of the way they train, because the way that their manager is, bless him, went to Peterborough, then he said it because he thought Palace weren't big enough for him. Bless him. Because of the way they train, I said they were going to be fit, but they weren't going to be match fit. And that really showed to me. They didn't have this engaged. We had this engaged the whole match. We won the match in the first 20 minutes, 25 minutes. Yes, the second goal, 23 minutes, wasn't it?
Yep.
The match was won. We'd already won. The first half, they were a beaten team. They came out like a championship side. You know how they run the championship side. There's no real sort of class there. Second half was always going to be what it was. We'd won the game. They were frustrated. They were running around like very fit, headless chickens, and job done. I mean, I've written down those. 4 wins in a row, 4 clean sheets in a row, 4 jobs done. Every single match we played, the last 4, they've been all different jobs. What was it, Watford, Newcastle, and this lot. I mean, it was a good job done. What I was pleased to see was that we had aspects within the team. Down the left-hand side, they were knitting together. Down the right-hand side, from the middle, from the back to the middle, they were knitting together. It's like they hadn't been apart. It really was. They've all been kicking the ball in the back gardens with their kids and running around. It didn't look like they'd been apart from each other. I actually wanted a 2-1, I have to say. So I was cheering the other team towards the end because I had a little bit of money on them. But I cashed out 120 quid anyway, so that's all right.
God,
I really think the football brains, we were miles ahead of them. They really were. It's the football brains that actually won that game for me.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have to say I was gobsmacked at how poor Bournemouth were, considering the position they're in. They started as if it was a training game or a pre-season friendly, and that really took me by surprise. And what you're saying is right, Grant, is that we were looked up for it from the start. I think we've got to be careful in the fact that their lack of passion probably made us look better than we are. But now we've got a game under our belt. And again, it's our fourth consecutive win, fourth consecutive clean sheet, which we've never done before. It's our record, isn't it? Clean sheets in the top tier. Yeah. And no one's mentioned Scott Dan. I was surprised to see Dan there, but he seems to have slotted in alongside Cahill, and as if he's never been away. He's even getting a bit of his pace back as well.
It's like a case of who's Hopkins and Sacco, aren't it?
Well, hold that thought, because Grant, I'm going to come to you for those stats in a second. Lee Lockwood's point on the screen that Bournemouth were woeful. Okay, I'm going to give you my very quick overview. Very strange one yesterday. Very pleasing performance, obviously. But normally at Selhurst Park, we've found recently over the last, forget the break, obviously, but the performances at home have been not very good in the first half. Okay, we might have gone in at half time either level or maybe one behind or something like that. In the second half, something's happened in the dressing room half time. We come out second half, okay, and been a completely different team. Yesterday, the performance was arse about face. We came out the blocks, whether it was, as Lee's quite rightly pointing out, Bournemouth were woeful, or whether we were match fit, as Grant's point alluded to, and we were ready to go, okay, and we came out the blocks and they just weren't ready for us, okay. We were very, very good in the first half, okay. Bournemouth had a bit of a shake-up in the dressing room at half-time, and they basically negated us in the second half, or we negated them. It was a stalemate in the second half, whatever you want to say. So my thought process was it's one of those games where it wasn't your typical Palace performance. It was an arse about face Palace performance, but a really pleasing one. So to go 2-0 up, and very pleasing result, really good result, and it's. Unfortunately, it's breeding people all over social media about the daring to dream scenario, which we're going to come on to later on in the show, boys. Grant, Ian just alluded to the Scott Dan performance, okay, alongside Gary Cahill. I believe you got some stats.
I have. Where's my phone? There it is, right in front of me. Sorry, I was organising this right there. Sorry, guys.
Gary Cahill.
He didn't score though. He always scores against Bournemouth.
Goal machine.
He didn't score, did he? Why is that? Anyway, Cahill and Dan, when playing together, this is 4 games. Out of 4 games, they've had 4 clean sheets. Between them, times it by 10, 40 clearances. There's that number 10 again, 10 blocked shots, 7 interceptions, same number again, 7 for tackles. 15 ground duels were won. This is the big one. Between them, 220 accurate passes and 3 key passes. So that says, let's keep these 2 people together. And they cost us a whacking great 1.6 million.
It is bonkers. It is just phenomenal.
Some super figures there, mate.
But what I would say, it'd be interesting to see the breakdown as to who's making the majority of those passes, those tackles. Cahill's a monster. It doesn't matter who is alongside him, they step their game up because they have to step their game up.
They do.
But yeah, I was so. I mean, if you've played football in your life, you'd know that was never a red card last night anyway. But I could see why people were considering it as being a red card. So I was quite grateful that he didn't get a straight red, because that's the last thing we need. It's going to be interesting to see how, because in the Liverpool game tonight, what's his face isn't playing. Salah's not playing. So I'm wondering if he's keeping him for the game against us.
I'm going to just jump straight in there, because before the game, he actually Klopp actually said that him and Robinson are both available for selection for Wednesday night. Okay, so the answer to your question is yes. Robinson was an injury worry, and it was the medical team that kept him out. Salah could have easily played tonight, but he is available, or they are both available for selection on Saturday night. So I want to talk about the lineup first of all, if we can. And as you can see there, and I'm purposely going to miss a name out here. Guaita in goal, Ward, Dan, Cahill and Van Holt at the back. Where was Tompkins? I hadn't heard anything about an injury to Tompkins or why he was not available. Kouate and Milivojevic. Milivojevic was the only change for McCarthy from the previous game. I'll leave the next one. Zaha, Benteke and Ayew, all pretty predictable up top. Now, I want to touch base, if you don't mind, on the 200th appearance for one Jimmy MacArthur. Okay, absolutely. What a player! What an engine he's been for us. Grant, eulogise on Jimmy MacArthur, mate, please.
The man's just he's a possessed whippet, or should we call him somebody that snaps at your ankles? The guy just, if you actually go to a match, I do this quite a lot. The months that people are giving Benteke rubbish, I just said to him, just stop. Just don't watch the game. Just watch him. Watch his movement. Blah blah blah. You watch Jimmy Mack. The guy doesn't stop. And if you meet him up alongside him, he's actually not a big guy. He's not a big guy, but he is solid. He's like a little Jack Russell. Snaps your ankles. Snap your ankles. Snap your ankles. That's amazing. He's been in 200 games. And I don't know if you saw the piece that he put out on social media. It's been an honour playing for a club like ours, and what a fantastic club it is. I know players say this, but for someone to say that after they played 200 games for me, it speaks volumes. It really does. I'm not normally lost for words, but I'm actually lost for words to the guy, because how many superlatives can you actually say about him? He's just fantastic.
So, Ian, who signed him?
We did.
Can you remember which manager signed him?
It wasn't Pardew, was it?
No, I believe off the top of my head it was actually Neil Warnock. Okay.
Yeah. But 5 million, was it 5 million?
I had 6 million in my head. So
if you guys out there know what it is, put it in.
Nobody, I know you're there, mate. So I mean, what do you think about? Talk to me about your thoughts on James MacArthur. Underrated?
He's just fantastic player. Before that, I know people were saying his legs were going at the start of the season, and that's why he kept being taken off, a bit like Ayew. But he seems to have come back fitter. It's only one game. Let's not go overboard, okay? But nevertheless, he's been consistently good. I can't think of any game where he's had a mare. I can think of plenty of other players where they've had bad games, but he is just consistent, and keeps going. Breaks up. That he's not just his tackling. He breaks up and intercepts so many through balls.
Yeah.
And then starts the attack. I mean, it was a fantastic pirouette he did I think on the 70th minute last night. And people don't give him enough credit for the skill he has as well. So sometimes his passing goes awry, but he's box to box. He's a phenomenal buy. 5 million steal.
Ian, have you noticed this season how he's been going more forward?
He's been
Jordan this year.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's where we've started to win the games. Yeah. Is because Hodgson has realised that in order to score, we need people in the box, and Benteke needs that support up front.
Yeah,
he needs that one of the holding midfielders to push up, fill the gap, to release the advanced central midfielder up there, Kouate. And I know that we're talking about MacArthur. He had a stormer last night. Kouate is another great buy.
And there is. Thank you to our producer in the background, Lucy, who will be joining us shortly, I'm sure. According to transfermarket.com, we signed James MacArthur from Wigan for £7.92 million. Okay,
wow.
So it was more than I thought as well. One other player I want to touch on the lineup, okay, if it's possible. And you mentioned how you thought Benteke looked sharp, slim, chucked away a bit of timber. And I think the biggest nod of the season, whilst not the best player of the season, but the biggest nod of the season has to go to Joel Ward. Yesterday, I thought Joel Ward looked, I can only say it as a bloke's bloke, but he looked stacked. He looked trim, lean, physically fit. Okay, and question: has he put a foot wrong all season after he got £50 million for Wan-Bissaka? Over to you, sir.
Well, I don't think he's put a foot wrong. He's another player who has come out from under Wan-Bissaka's light, come out from under the shadows when everyone thought, oh my God, he's coming back, and he's proved what a proper pro he is. He's solid. What I would say is we need backup in that position, because if he goes, then we're reliant on youngsters. And we'll probably come on to the youngsters bit in a minute. But you can't say that he's done much wrong at all this season.
Grant?
Yeah.
Joel Ward.
He was Crocs, and we actually rely on a youngster, and he came in and he did all right, didn't he? A1B. So he went for that big fee. He went to Man United. Off he goes into the Silverland, whatever. And people go, what do we do without him? What do we do? But now it's a case of who? We have not missed him. We haven't missed him at all. We're talking about Wan-Bissaka, because Joel Ward, like you say, he's just not he's not done anything wrong at all. Not that I can remember.
Right. And I thought it was well worth a nod. Before we move on, boys, I just want to throw something out there, completely random and off track for a reason. Remiss of me at the top of the show to mention another integral part of our team. Okay, and I need to do so, but although I'm not going to give out any details, John Lines, I know you're watching this evening. On behalf of myself, Ian, Gel, Grant, and the whole team, may I send you and your family our absolute love and best wishes. You know what we're talking about. We know what you're going through at the moment. And on behalf of everybody on the review, lots of love, mate, and we're thinking of you, okay? If you need anything, pick up the bloody phone, mate. You know the score. Right, so first, talk me through a couple of the goals. Talk me through the two goals, and Grant, before we move on.
What do you want to tell you about the first goal? Superb, wasn't it? Absolutely superb. When he was lining up, did I think he was going to put it in the net? Probably not. But he could not have found that corner any better, could he? I'm going to move on from the first goal, because the second goal is the one I want to talk about.
Yeah, go for it, mate.
Because we talked about this earlier on, Ian, when you talk about the space that they were just creating. Was this the fact that Bournemouth were woeful? Was it the fact that Palace were good? I don't know. But at the time, you could see how our football brains were better, because we just drew them out. And that ball was put back for Jordan to put it the way he did. I mean, he took that ball very, very cleverly. That ball came across him. It was bouncing. He had to control it and push it into the net. The first goal was fantastic. I actually think the second goal was better than the first one, purely for how they actually did it. The first one was a free kick, beautifully done, but the second one for me, the nice move, the control of that ball.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Wilf was involved in both. He was fouled for the first one, which gave him the chance. And what people, again, are probably overlooking is the quality of that little through ball for Van Arnold. I mean, it was made around the movement. Yeah. The movement is there, and the third man run, it was fantastic. But the quality, the pace at which he hit that ball into the channel for Van Arnold to then thread back, was fantastic. And as you rightly say, it was a hard finish. He just concentrated. It wasn't even a half volley. It was just coming up at him. So to actually have it 6 inches off the ground and get his foot over it well enough to pass it into the back of net, it was a great finish. And it shows that they're on their mettle. It will give them a lot of confidence for coming Wednesday.
There's money well spent.
Well, I can't eat humble pie enough.
Yeah.
But my comments last season about him is that, I said it wouldn't be worth £2, let alone 2 million. but that's gone out the window now. We seem to be a club. For those who haven't seen the Peter Ramage interview, highly recommend watching that. But when I spoke to him, he said it's a club that all the players that he knows that have played there love the club. Okay, and it probably feeds back to what you were saying about James MacArthur earlier. But with Ayew, it's a club that we seem to be getting all these players, and they seem to improve and play well for us. Very few players we've purchased that have gone on to be absolute donkeys. Benteke might be considered that at some stage, although I would tend to disagree to a certain extent. But Ayew's certainly one of those players. He seems to have found a place that he's loved. And I think that's a lot for a player. He's very much strikes me as a confidence player. And that's exactly what he wants and needs.
Okay, well, I want to touch base on lots of people saying good evening to me on my watch party, and there's loads of people in there. Cy Pizzy, I've just seen your message, mate. Gel's fine. He's just taking a couple of weeks off. He'll be back over the next couple of weeks. He normally takes some time off the summer. I did allude to it at the top of the show before you joined us, but nice to see you on there, buddy. Love to everybody. I hope all is well. And there's also, boys, again, going off track just a little bit, talking about the prices of the players, okay? Now, I saw an interesting tweet. I didn't research behind it, but I saw a very interesting tweet. Palace's current first-team squad, which includes a £29 million Christian Benteke, free of charge Guaita, free of charge Cahill, bits and pieces players for not bought for very much, £10 million for Kouata, whatever. Total value, £79.2 million, okay, equals one Arsenal player called Pepe, and who's above who in the league. I thought it's so our collective first team squad that are on the pitch yesterday, who are currently sitting above Arsenal, cost less than Pepe. Superb, don't you not think?
It's madness. It's madness. He's worth that much anyway.
It's because it also throws another. People are always questioning our transfer policy, how much or lack of transfer policy, how much we're spending, and all the rest of it. Just give that a thought. We are currently sitting 9th in the best league in the world, okay? And people are starting to look up, which we're going to come on to. So Crystal Palace have won 4 consecutive Premier League games, the best ongoing winning run of all sides in the competition. Only in December 92 and April 2014 have they enjoyed a longer winning streak in the top flight. Bournemouth had lost 7 Premier League games in 2020. No other side had lost more during the calendar year, level with West Ham. Both of Jordan Ayew, I know we'll ignore all that, okay, because that's boring stuff. So, what's up next for us? Okay, should we touch the second half, or should we move on from the second half, boys?
I think what. Sorry, Grant, go. I think the second half. I think Grant covered it. Was just going through the motions and just keeping them out, and then trying to hit them on the counter attack. Moving on from that, what I would like to have seen is that with 5-10 minutes to go, even 5 minutes to go, him getting a couple of the youngsters on or getting a couple of the others on. I think there's been a lot of chat in and around the forums and the groups about Hodgson and about the size of our squad. This restart, it's going to favour clubs with big squads.
Yeah.
Especially with the 5 substitutes. Now, when we're 2-0 up with 10 minutes to go, that is the time you give the players a rest and give others a chance to get a little bit of fitness, a little bit of experience. Now, Hodgson, after the game, has said that he's got a very small squad. He's going to stick with that squad. He's going to get injuries, and essentially said he's going to play them, run them into the ground, and then only when they're injured or is forced to make substitutions, he's going to do it. Do we think that's the right thing to do? Do we think that's potentially damaging? I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, through the winter, we were being run into the ground. I mean, we were a desperate club through the winter. Every single player was being run into the ground. And there was that fear of injury. I mean, how many players did we have out at one stage?
12.
11 or 12, yeah.
How can you exist like that? We clearly got enough depth in the squad to survive. Is it enough to make that final push? I don't know. I mean, we're safe. We're going to be safe. It's no problem there. I differ to you, Ian, when it comes to the last 10 minutes, you're 2-0 up. Do you bring the kids in? I mean, do you make sure you get the win? Or do you give the kids a little break? Put the kids on. They might not be right. They're going into a fast-moving game. If you play football, you know it's difficult to come off the bench into a fast-moving, get onto the ball, a fast-moving train, isn't it? They could be put out. It could be 2-1. All of a sudden, then they're panicking. Do you bring the kids on? I've got a different opinion of that one. I get the points under the bag. Let's get safety under the bag, and then blood some. I mean, we need to blood some younger players into the team, definitely.
There is one point that neither of you picked up on. There was that Jordan Ayew took a very early yellow card yesterday, and I'm very surprised. Okay, if he's not going to bring on we all know that Hodson's got this mental block about the substitutions. Okay, we knew he was never going to use all 5 of them. Lucy, should he have brought on a youngster because Ayew had taken an early yellow card? And by the way, welcome Lucy Usher.
Thank you very much. No, not as early as that. I think we'd all like to see some youngsters being played. However, Andrew Adams makes a good point. Every spot you finish, it's £2 million per position. So money talks. But I would like to have seen some younger players, but perhaps not tonight. Perhaps, as Grant says, wait till we're safe, and then maybe 10 minutes to spare, bring him on. I was surprised that he subbed Benteke. I probably would have subbed Ayew because of that yellow card, really.
Grant?
I'm glad Lucy said it, because I saw it come up on the screen. Andrew Adams picked up about his £2 million per position. I didn't know it was 2 million, but isn't that small fry in today's game? 2 million is nice. It's nice money, but that's small fry in today's business of football. If you can blood some more younger players, we got is it the oldest squad in the division now?
It is.
Yeah.
It's got to be the oldest division, in the world, whatever it is. We've got to get youth into it. And I think for the sake of one spot, £2 million or £4 million, 2 spots, let's bring another Aaron Wan-Bissaka through. Who
could then be sold for 50 million.
Thank you.
Exactly that, right? If you look at our accounts that were released while we were off air, and it was Aaron Wan-Bissaka's sales that kept us as Tim Richards says from New Zealand, finally a young presenter. Who's he talking about? I don't know. He can't be talking about you.
Tim. I really value your input to be shown. Thank you.
Tim, okay, be nice, because don't forget, this time next week, you're going to be sitting where Lucy or Grant is, okay? And it's open season as far as we're concerned. Lots of people in the chat saying hello and great to see us back and everything else. Thank you very much for your lovely comments. Right, I'm going to be moving on. Hi, John. I want your thoughts, please, because people are starting to look up. Now, I would like, whilst I don't stop anybody from looking up, and has anybody actually seen, are we actually mathematically safe now? Yes or no in the chat, please? Let me know. But I don't think we are quite mathematically safe, although we know we're not going to go down. I want to inject, if you don't mind, a little bit of realism, okay, as to those of you that are looking up, okay? And there's no problem looking up, just don't get carried away. And this is the reason behind it. Liverpool away. Burnley at home. That's a possibility of some points there. Leicester away. Doing well. Chelsea, another on the back of another win today. Villa, there's another opportunity. You're right. Man United, you never know what sort of Man United is going to turn up at home. Wolves away. High-flying Wolves away. Okay, and Spurs at home. They are our fixtures. So out of those, I'm going to drop out Burnley and Villa, and we'll talk Leicester, Liverpool, Chelsea, Man United, Wolves and Spurs. Grant, quite a tough run-in, would you not think?
Yeah, piece of piece. Challenging. Liverpool, we like to upset a party. I can see it happening again. I really can. They're going to win it, yeah? Got no problem with that. But we're going to not let them win it against us. I'm convinced of that. A few seasons ago, we won 5 in a row, didn't we? Towards the end of the season, it was saved us.
We did.
Chelsea away. I mean, the games we were looking at then, from memory, one of them was Burnley. They beat us. Was it at home? Another team similar to Burnley, and they beat us. Those 2 matches, which we were relying on getting 6
Our
points.
bankers, yeah.
We got 0. Our bankers, yeah, we got 0. But we saved ourselves from unpredictable and impossible matches. So I'm not going to answer your question.
So, out of that list of games, Ian, how many do you reckon? How many points? We're on
Well,
40.
I mean,
we're currently
let's
sitting
be
on 42 points now. Where will we
Let's
end
be
up?
realistic. It's 6 out of the top 8 at the minute. We've still got to play.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but I'm with Grant on this. We're the type of side historically that turn up against the big teams and then falter against the lower teams. Mm-hmm. This year, we seem to have been somewhere in the middle. That we've got a far better record against the lower teams than we've ever had, I think, in the top flight, which has been behind us being doing as well as we have been. But against the bigger teams, we've not quite hit our straps. A lot of that was down to the injuries. We were coming up against them in injuries, but we beat Man United away this season. You know, we've had some good goes, and I'm with Grant. I think the last team, if they win tonight, the last team they will want to try and win the title against at a soulless Anfield will be Palace. Because they know we will be there. Klopp knows. That's why he's kept, Salah in the back, because he's going to try and use Salah to run at us and exploit us. But obviously Robertson, he wants to try and keep hold of Wilf. But they know what they're going to be in for. But it's not just Liverpool that know that. It's going to be Leicester. Leicester against Watford. They struggled against Watford. Well, no, that's not strictly true. They should have probably been 2 or 3 up at the time. But I think Liverpool, I think we could get a draw out of. Burnley, certainly a draw or a win. Leicester, we could get a draw out of. Maybe a possible win. Chelsea, again, on the showings of tonight against Villa, they don't hold any issues for me. Villa, I think, by then may well be down, so you never know what you're going to get, but I'd expect to win. Man United, again, another team that blows hot and cold. Wolves, okay, we seem to have quite a good record against them away. And Spurs are probably the only ones that have the hoodoo over us. So I can see us getting, 6, 8 games, 24 points possible. I could see us probably getting about 15 points out of that lot.
Blimey, because Ian Donald in the chat is saying he'd love to get another 9 points. Richard Harvey's saying he would love to see us get 50 points total. I mean, judging by what you're saying, Ian, you're pushing Champions League from what you're saying.
Well, the other thing is, and what we haven't said, is that these are all the teams we'll be fighting for Champions League. So if we pinch points off them, then by osmosis, you're going to be up in the European places, aren't you? But one game at a time. Let's get Liverpool out of the way and let's concentrate on something else.
Lucy, are you free for your European tour with us next year? A Red and Blue review, European tour?
Yeah. My diary is pretty empty at the moment. So
You ain't bringing your bike though, okay? You're not bringing that bloody bike. You're going to come home on an aircraft with the rest of us, okay?
No, I'll cycle it. It's fine. I wanted to highlight actually Colin, which is a stat that he's put up. Apparently, only Liverpool taking more points off the bottom 6 than us. Which, if that is true, that's pretty impressive, because quite often our seasons have been flooded with like really poor performances against some of the teams below us that we need to like fight for the points with, and then we've really upped our games for the top flight almost. So that is a stat. I don't know if anyone.
I've not seen that before. Okay, well, I want to thank Andrew and Nigel in the background. Go on, Ian, before I can move on.
Luce, for next week, when you speak, can we have like one of those Monty Python cherubs from the clouds in the corner? Mm-hmm. So when your voice comes over the airwaves, it's all heralding it.
It is great to have a lady on here, isn't it? I mean,
a lady. Yeah. I'm a lady.
Well, I think no, but it is. Isn't it great to have a different voice on? And I'll tell you what, it's a pleasure to have you there, Grant.
Real quick, 83 minutes in, Liverpool and Everton are still drawing 0-0, so it might be completely defunct next week anyway, or Wednesday.
So, okay, thank you for that, because I'm going to ask a quick question. So, if they only draw today, and we all know Liverpool do a Man United a Fergie time and get late winners. But if they only draw, does that mean they can't win against us on Wednesday?
No, it means if Man City lose the next game, then they can still win it against us, because they could have won it tonight had Man City lost the last game.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So, guys, all three of you, you're not going to be ready for any of these. Okay, these are fun questions, quick fire, fun questions for you from Andrew and Nigel. Okay, right. I'm going to Grant. I'm going to kick off with you. Was Luka Milivojevic taken off to save him from a late booking, so he will be available against Liverpool, as per what's his face was left out for Liverpool tonight?
Yes is the answer, in my opinion. We discussed it ourselves in our household to save him for the next match. Yeah.
Lucy, your thoughts?
I'd like to think so, that we were boxing that clever. So yes.
But this is Crystal Palace we're talking about. Did we box clever?
But we were an organised unit last night, so I would like to think that was all part of the game plan. So yes.
Anything to add, Lindsay?
No, yes. I agree. He's Roy's favourite, isn't he? So he saved him.
Right, okay. I'm just having a look to see which one I'm going to give you. And transfers in, transfers out is one of them. Okay. People's thoughts on the BBC's coverage and the noise crowd, and the fact that they didn't have a muting noise crowd as a la Sky TV. And I'll start. Oh, Lucy, you go first.
I'm going to steal that. That you could mute it if you press the red button, or you were watching it via the freeview bit of BBC iPlayer. You could, because I watched the first half and hated it with the sounds, and then the second half I sort of had to research how I could turn it off, and there was a different option. So for future BBC things, you can turn it off, and I found it a lot better without the crowd noise. I wanted to hear the players scream at each other, but I thought, that's an opportunity.
But that's a good point you raised there about the players scream. I don't know what game was I watching this afternoon. I think it was the Villa game, and the Chelsea scored their second, and whoever their Villa's centre half is, gave it the large fuck, and at the top of his scream at the top of his voice, and it was clearly picked up by the on this side of the pitch microphones. Grant, are you a fan of the noise or not?
No. Quickly, no. The first match. It was the first match now, Sheffield United. Watched first half and second half differently. I actually like listening to what's going on. Do you remember years ago, 25, 30 years ago maybe, West Ham played behind closed doors for crowd violence? It was a one-off match, just one match. You might not. But that was fantastic because it was live and they didn't have the technology to stop things. You just heard everything. It was great. But literally hearing, like you said, Nick, hearing them expleat at each other, but also hearing other things going on. I actually like it.
Got any thoughts on it, Ian?
I don't mind the crowd noise. It takes your mind off the fact that it's it behind closed doors, because what you do is you actually start concentrating on the football. I understand what Grant's saying about listening to the players and listening to the instructions, and also I think for the players themselves, it means that they hassle the referee a lot less and the ball's in play a lot longer. As for the BBC's production of it, I've never really been I think they're so far behind the others now. I didn't think it was particularly good, their coverage of it, I've got to be honest.
Okay, well, that's an interesting thought. Okay, a new question, Ian. I'm going to kick off with you this time. Andros Townsend. Is he now a squad player with that and talk about that hairstyle? I know you're not. I think you're going to
say is he a squad player with that haircut?
No, but I know you're not qualified to talk about hairstyles, of course.
Ooh, shots fired. I'd like to think he's not a squad player, but at the minute he's got to force his way in. And again, Roy doesn't like to change winning sides, does he? And you can't blame him for that. They keep winning. No one can argue about it. None of those on the bench can argue about it.
No.
Lucy, Grant, anything you want to add on that?
Sorry, Grant. Andrew himself said that he hadn't sort of set the world on fire this season. I think we were all a bit disappointed because he had such a scorching end to the last season. Fantastic hairdo. I'm not going to call him out. I mean, look at this. It's getting flatter by the day. But there's something about him. And even when he has a bad day, you can still have a a fantastic few seconds. But I did say that I would read out a few people's
please do.
about Andros to keep it coming. What do we think of Mike Dean's beard? That's not Andros. Alan Shearer hates praising Palace, and I bet Schluck will walks back in. None of those to do with Andros, which is fine. But I thought that Jermaine Janus, who was doing the commentary, he was quite complimentary about Palace, I was quite surprised about. So yin and yang. Sorry, Grant, back to you.
No, so I was just going to sort of ditto what Ian said and ditto what you said as well now. Squad player, I'd like to think he's not a squad player. But like Lucy says, he's going to have to force his way back in because our government doesn't like to change a winning side. And we're winning, aren't we? But I still remember Andros picking the ball up in their own defence at
West
the
Brom,
running into the far end and just putting the ball back in there. You know, it's just when he's got that in his locker. And the thing is with him, it's not just in his locker every now and then. It happens quite regularly. Not runs the leg of the pitch to score a goal, but he's always doing those sorts of runs. He's a lot quicker than he looks as well.
Absolutely right.
Not much having playing against them.
Right. Well, we're going to come back to some of these questions in a minute because I do want to touch on the very, very sad news announced this week by Eagle Heights that we have lost our gorgeous Caleb, the bald eagle, sadly passed away. She had been, as many of you will know, she had been poorly over the last few months. I believe, Grant, you're probably a little bit better qualified to talk to her about it than I. I mean, didn't she have problems with her feet? And there was a request out there for Palace donations, and she had to have an operation. Was it on her feet? I believe it was on her feet.
Yeah, she had a condition which effectively gave her gout.
That's right.
Gout in bald eagles is deadly. It's it can cause fatal illness, and the Eagle Heights went out to the fans, publicly through social media to ask for money, which they don't like doing. But I think £3.5 grand was raised in one evening, just literally through all of us just going mad on social media and donations of money. That got her to see the vet that she needed to see. This was in Wiltshire in Swindon. And she got through there. She's had a couple of other seizures after she got back as well. I'm actually getting choked up saying this. And then she had medication, and sadly, she had the fatal heart attack.
Ian, bit of an icon for the club, and I don't think it's something the club as a whole, behind the scenes, completely appreciated. She has put that having a mascot like that, a live mascot like that, I think, it's actually put us on the map worldwide. Would you not say?
It's unique.
Yeah, definitely. It's something that people automatically identify us with, don't they? Certainly in the States they do. I know that. And that, she was great for the kids and a good way of getting the kids to interact with the fan zone, and even the opposition fans, other than the ones that try to punch her, would actually be quite impressed with seeing an eagle flying across the pitch. I don't think the club realised when they actually invited them along, just to fly Kayla across the pitch, how that would snowball and the affection that everyone and the fan base would have for her. And I'd like to think that there would be a new Kayla or whatever, in the wings, no pun intended, and that the tradition can carry on.
Okay, I'm glad you mentioned, mate. I'm glad you mentioned that because, guys, we were talking off air. What do the club, or more importantly, Kayla was so important to Eagle Heights. What do they do now? Do we do we fund the training of another? Somebody asked me the other day. Do we fund the training of another eagle? Grant, is there another option in sitting in the wings? Again, no pun intended.
Well, if anybody listening tonight has been to Eagle Heights, they'll see there's quite a few birds similar to Kayla. No other bald eagles, but there's some beautiful birds up there. One of them's been flown, etc. But to actually fly a bird, and I flew Kayla 5 times on the pitch. To fly a bird in surroundings like a football stadium takes a long time to sort of breed into a bird, because it's not just a case of flying up and down a field, etc., where they see mice or whatever, but here you got 20, 25, 26,000 people, and it's a little bit different. So there would be a lot of training required. I know Eagle Heights are always, as any sort of charity organisation, desperate for funds. The more people they can get through the doors down there, the better. It's a great day for the kids and the family, etc. I'm not here to sell them, but that's the way they can get their money. I mean, they also take donations. I think maybe Nick, if you could put out a link on the page afterwards, where people can make donations, that would be fantastic. I know that every penny that goes in there is spent correctly.
Good, thank you. Great words. Okay, so rest in peace, Kayla. Thank you for everything you brought to our club and our stadium. Right, the other one that I want to move on to before we go back into some more of these quick fire questions is the season ticket debacle. Now, as a show, as a team, I'm going to take on our behalf, I'm going to take a little bit of we're going to come on to that in a minute, Grant. And we're going to take a bit of credit for the fourth option that was never there. When they first put out the message about what they're going to do, foundation, blah, 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 there were three options. Do you remember?
Yep.
There were three options. And we said live on this show, wouldn't it be great if there was a fourth one? I think they missed a trick here. Okay, there should be a fourth option whereby we can actually fund ahead for next season. And we were then discussing at the time, well, maybe they can't work out what the actual value is, pro rata, blah, 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 blah. Bugger me, a week later, out comes the second announcement that they've now added a fourth option. And the fourth option is to be able to part fund next year's season tickets. Then, I'm sure most of the people watching this, season ticket holders, got the first of the emails this week from the club. Talking about the now four options, where there was only three before. Now, to say it was written by a school kid, okay, the email was written by a school kid, was a joke. It was a poorly drafted document with many spelling mistakes. Apparently, anyway, I ignored the first one and looked at the detail of what they were saying. My value is, and I thought, well, that's another error. About an hour later, or maybe the next morning it was, we got a second email from the club, okay, with as many mistakes in the copy, okay, of spelling mistakes, grammar errors, and everything else. Now, it was saying that I'm due a refund on my 5 season tickets. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4. I've only got 4 season tickets. How can I be due a refund on my 5 season tickets when I've only got 4? Now, this is the classic, okay, and I have got a picture to prove it, okay. Apparently, my refund value, are you ready for this, people? Listen to this, pin your ears back. My 4 season tickets and my 5 refunds are worth a total of £315,000.
Oh, fantastic. Can you buy an eagle with that?
And I've got it in writing, £315,000 and quite a few other quid on the end of it, okay? The club or whoever's sending out, the ticket office, the marketing department, hang your heads in shame, people, okay? Because if I got that email and you all got that email, get a grip. We're supposed to be a Premier League team. Grant, before I say something I shouldn't say, go.
I've got one of the emails in front of me now. You're right. It's the second version of it.
Yeah.
This is in one line, paragraph, whatever. Our records, I've got 7 season tickets at home, yeah? Our records show that you purchased 6 season tickets under your client reference. This means that you will be required to complete a refund process for all 5 season tickets. This is in one sentence.
Yeah.
There's not, and it's apparently 7 season tickets. My refund's £487.3684.
Okay, and mine says 315,795. It's not even a real number. Okay, look at the number on there. I'll try and keep it steady.
You sure it's not a dot?
I know it's 315 quid. I know that. I'm aware of that, but that's not what it says. There's a dot in the wrong place. Okay,
that's not Dominic.
Huh? No, it's a dot.
It just goes to 4 decimal places.
Oh, but what is it? Where's the 7895 bit? What's all that about?
Well, it's 78.95 pence, isn't it? Obviously,
there's no such thing. I know that, and you know that. But the point is, and it's also the grammar, and it's also the way they're calculated.
It must have been the same for everyone because mine. I unlike you, Rich Voice. I've only got 2 season tickets, but they did, in fairness, in the same sentence, that they offered me a refund on 3. Which was only 156 Nick Philpott's thousands. So I'm still quizzed out as far as YouTube is concerned. Yeah, it wasn't great. They did say though, didn't they, that the tickets are now going over to a new company or something. So rather than it being the club marketing, it may well be this new company. But it'll be interesting to see how they deal with it. That's for sure, because we can't be the only ones.
Right, back to some quick fires for you, because it is 9 o'clock and I'm concerned that people are giving up their Sunday evenings. Okay, what tactics do we go to Anfield with, Grant?
Open football. Both clubs play open football. Every time we go up there and we've succeeded, we played fast, furious, controlled football. Joel Ward's goals up there. Yeah, it tells you the sort of football you need to do. The style of football they play, Liverpool, is very, very open. That's why they let in so many goals. Yeah, right. Against us.
Ian, do we go? Sorry, mate. Oh, sorry, Grant. I thought
you open, fast and furious. It's just the way the matches are. They're really great watches for a neutral to watch these matches. They're fantastic at Anfield.
Ian, do we go for a draw or totally spoil their party?
No, we go for it. Done homemade. We take it to them and smash them in their own backyard. And he would never do it. But we should be playing 2 up front, and I reckon Benteke will score.
Do you know what? I said the same thing the other day about Benteke. I'd love that as well. Wilfried Zaha had another average game. So is it time to cash in and wish him all the best? Ian, start with you.
Yes, but we've been saying that for months.
Mr. S.
Mr. S. How much are we going to cash in for? The bloke's not young anymore. I actually don't think we'll sell him. He won't get into a top team now. For me, it's another season gone. Did he have an average game last night? I don't know. He did enough. I think he did some right moves. Second goal, both the goals he had involvement in.
Did either of you see the BBC article that Jermaine Jenas did on him?
No.
It was yesterday morning, timed just before the game, and he's saying it's about time he left because he's good enough for a top 4 side. The only problem is that we won't let him go for what we value him at because no one in the current climate will play it. And I agree with him. 50 million or more, we'll let him go.
Which then pushed him too high in the age bracket, doesn't it? And then the price of us plummet.
Yeah, the age. Grant, the age thing is something I mentioned earlier in the season. Actually, I think he just turned. Is it 27 or 28? And yeah, to me, yes, he's still in his prime. But your point is, will he get into a top 6 team now? Okay, or what top 6 team could A, afford him or pay his wages? There ain't that many of them. Okay, and which team would he get into? Which team would he enhance?
He'll go at PSG. I said it at the start of the season. I keep saying it. He'll go at PSG.
I really think that suits him. He's got the French connection there. He speaks French, and
yeah, very good stuff. How good is our current defence as we last conceded on the 8th of February away at Everton? Mr. S, start with you.
Well, didn't we start the show here talking about the defence and how good it is? And these 2 people that come in the middle, and we've forgotten who the others are now. I mean, we've got options in defence. And like you say earlier on, when a player goes missing, the others seem to up their game. And that's what we're enjoying in the back 4. Definitely in the middle 2, definitely in there. We've got a strong, resilient, bloody hard to beat defence.
Okay, let me rephrase it to you then. Okay, same part of the question. Sacco and Tompkins are now 100% fit and ready to go. Would you play them?
Currently, no. Currently, I would say no. I love them. I love those 2 together. Those 2 are a brick wall. But then you've got 2 who are doing what they're doing.
Ian, I can see you saying
right.
Yes.
Well, I would disagree with that slightly. Sacco, Tompkins, and Kelly. So you've got 3 very good backups. I'd drop down for Tompkins every day of the week. Tompkins is a player.
He is.
Very, very interesting. Right, ladies and gentlemen.
Nick, alongside who though? Tompkins alongside who?
Cahill.
I
dropped Dan.
Yeah.
Which would be harsh because I think Dan's played magnificently.
I would go with three at the back, 3 centre halves.
What, on Wednesday night?
Nick, we're having some private conversation here.
Yeah.
But do you know what? That's an option, isn't it? But that's an option.
It is.
Playing 5 and giving Wardy and Van Aanholt a chance to push on a little bit when the situation arises. Why not?
I wouldn't. I'd drop if he played 3. I'd drop Ward and I'd put Townsend there and play Townsend and BBA as attacking wing backs.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of options, ladies and gentlemen, in the chat in Facebook land. What do you think? More importantly, I would like to know before we wrap up here what you think, what you predict the score will be against Liverpool on Wednesday night. Go, bring them up because I want to know. So while we're waiting for those to come through, boys, let's have a talk about Wednesday night. Ian, kicking off with you. Give me a prediction, please. Any changes to the lineup?
No, he won't. For all the last 5 minutes, Hodgson will be too predictable, and Klopp will be more fluid in the way he approaches the game. And I can see a scrape and a draw, 2-2 maybe.
2-2. Get good. I'm sure you get good odds on that. Grant, your thoughts?
I see goals as well. There always are goals these matches. Like I say, open football. I can actually see us sneaking it because of the occasion. It's finished 0-0 tonight at Goodison, but because of the occasion, I can actually see us sneaking it 2-1, maybe 3-2.
Not 4-2.
Yeah,
I got excited there. That was a typo.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you don't know is in the chat, let's embarrass him on his first full show. He's actually written in the chat that we'll win 2-4. Okay.
Well, I said 2-3. I'm only one away.
Grant, just say no. Okay, just say no. You're not.
Is that Grant Gill?
Yeah, it was Grant Gill. Just say no, ladies and gentlemen out there in Facebook land. What do you think? What's the score going to be? Can we go up to Anfield and spoil their party? Yeah. Oh God, I hate them so much. I'd love it to be the case. So, Ian,
yes.
Before I wrap up, and I'm waiting for these things to drop up on the screen. Do you want to talk to him about a predictions league, or is it not the right time? Next season?
It's not the right time.
All right. We have some very exciting things coming up for you in the new year. And earlier on during the show, Ian alluded to the Peter Ramage interview. Those of you who haven't seen it, www.redandbluereview.co.uk. Get onto our website, have a look at that one. Have a look at those 2, isn't it? 2 Rambo ones.
Yeah, two parts. He spoke to me for 2 hours 45 minutes, and he was such a legend in that. If you haven't seen it, I'd highly recommend going back and looking over them both, because some of the stuff he comes out with and the love that he clearly has for the club and the fans is means it's well worth an hour of your time.
Absolutely. Right, okay. Lucy, what has everybody been saying? What are their predictions out in Facebook land?
Okay, so predictions are Simon Philpott 2-2, Laurie Scott 1-1, Andy Ball 1-2, Chris Lennon Palace 1-0, George Wales Palace win, Graham Pitcher, hey Graham 1-1.
Love you, Graham.
Steve 0-0, Paul McNamara Obi 2-0 to the Scousers. Paul. Chris Lennon, my first time on the Red and Blue Review. How often do you do these? We do them most Sundays after every game. If there's a midweek game, we quite often
And who was that?
Sunday.
Who was that?
That's Chris Lennon. Hello, buddy.
Chris Lennon. Good evening, mate. Welcome. How are you, bud?
Ian Appley 1-1. Helen Grace Burmard 2-0. Ayew Benteke. Nigel Croucher 1-1. Andy Stacey 1-1. Tom Clark Samuel. Hello, buddy. 1-3 to Palace.
Just say no, Tom. Just say no, Tom.
Yeah. Andrew Adams, Liverpool 2-1, Palace, I'm afraid. Okay, Andrew. Daniel Garlick 2-0 to the Palace. John Knox, Liverpool 1, Palace 2. Paul Holden, Liverpool 1, Palace 2. Lee Hood, Lockwood 2-0 to us. There we go.
2-0 to Arsenal, did he say?
No, us. Thank you, lovely. Thank you.
I'm
right, ladies. Okay, thanks for coming. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to knock it on the head there. We've gone well over the hour already. Grant, how was your first one?
My third one.
Your first one? No, your first full show.
That's not for me to say. It's for the people online to say. Do they want me back?
No,
I'm enjoying it. Yeah, it's good fun.
Yeah, well, you are coming, mate. You are coming back. Okay, whether they like it or not, we'd love to having you on there. Thank you for agreeing to be a part of our structured team in the background. We're delighted to have you on there, and hopefully yours and the Eagles landing pages ours and the Eagles landing pages can carry on working hand in hand as they've done for a long time anyway, but even more so in the future. Ian Lyons, as always, I appreciate it. Lucy in the background, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen in Facebook land, we will be back post the Liverpool game, of course, which is in midweek. So we will be back next Sunday with a different co-presenter again. Okay, and we have a gentleman coming all the way from New Zealand to join us in the background. Say again.
I've been sacked already.
Yeah, Graham Kitcher, as always, John Lyons, Tom Clark-Samuel, Kevin Lyons, thank you. On behalf of everybody at Red and Blue Review, and you can see we're a growing team and we're going to get new listeners every week. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again next week. Keep up the positivity. We can look up. Just look up carefully. On behalf of myself, Nick Philpott, good night, everybody. Good night.